What marks the difference between hearing a soundtrack or experiencing complete audio immersion? What makes it so that the sounds aren't only memorable or fitting, but become synonymous with the piece itself? The answer, I feel, lies in the way that this music can act as a natural extension of the ideas and the spirit within. The pure essence of the game's story, concepts, and messages are reflected in the music, binding the two together. When this is achieved, not only does the music evoke the game, but the game evokes the music. They are closely tied, drops of water diffusing into each other, forming this quintessential bond, like fingers on a hand, something that is so flawless and effortless that it seems ridiculous to have anything else. The indie darling Shovel Knight, which was loyally supported through crowdfunding, blends old-school nostalgia with new-school design sensibilities. In this game, you take on the character Shovel Knight, accompanying him on his quest to save his partner and close ally Shield Knight. You make your way through gorgeously designed, mysterious lands, platforming over perilous obstacles and dispensing shovel justice. Shovel Knight takes the approach of retro 8-bit games, where the entire soundtrack is made using electronically arranged music. Using an array of digital tones, they are able to create sounds for a whole world of actions, expressions, and individuals. Many times, games can use actual audio for anything from its lingering score to the thwomp of a weapon. In this game, the developers Yacht Club composed pretty much the whole thing electronically. Because it's all this one style, it has to be able to convey different moods, which can be difficult when you're using a ton of beeps and bloops. How do you get emotion from that? One way they do this is by giving each character in the game their own unique theme. Like the use of motifs in mediums like film and stage plays, in this game, these recurring notes become a sort of calling card for that character. Even without seeing them before they enter the screen, one can preclude their arrival. Shovel Knight himself has his own theme, as well as every boss, complete with their own signature music. It's cool to see how, using the 8-bit style, they've composed tracks for so many unique bosses, really handcrafting the songs to allude to the shades of their character. Here are a few boss themes. Any guesses as to who they could be like? They also do this for each level, with the music being equally recognizable while conveying mood and atmosphere. Each area has its own sound, allowing them to act as their own character in a way. The town with its cheerful, relaxed theme called No Weapons, or the song performed by the all-seeing King Trouble, pronounced like apple. This makes areas and locations feel different, and it makes it more important when you run into certain characters. Such strong sounds, it gives everyone such personality. Alongside the use of motifs to add to the detail of sound found in Shovel Knight, the game considers other interactions as well, such as by finding ways to create adaptations of different natural noises, such as the squeak of a mouse or the distinct laughter of Black Knight. Once again, all composed from purely digital sound. While playing through the game, I also noticed that both the sound effects and the music don't clash. The soundtrack comes in with its chiptune rush, keeping a rolling pace for the level. This is then dotted with other sounds, which never seem to interfere with the complete songs being played. Delving even further into the sound effects, it sounded that many of the sounds for actions that gave information, such as reaching a checkpoint, were higher pitched treble sounding, while others such as movement and attacks were lower and more bass sounding. Perhaps these higher notes were to distinguish when something of note has happened, and the more bass sounds did not compete with the music as much. The effort that went into choosing different sounds for the whole game was really shown when you look into the prominent actions. A big part of the game is collecting the sizable treasure caches and chests that Shovel Knight can find as he explores, a sound that is probably one of the most heard sounds in the game. Making sure that this was satisfying and rewarding and being pleasing to the ear was not only difficult, but fully realized. When the game designers create things like hitboxes or other things that will be repeated throughout the game, they definitely want to make them conducive to hearing it ad nauseum, and Shovel Knight does this with these melodic tones. If you're not sold on how much thought has been given to the sound, let me draw your attention to a smaller touch of how they do this. Whenever text comes on screen, they've decided to give a personalized sound for each character speaking. In the moments when a character talks, their dialogue gives off a unique cadence and rhythm, effectively granting each character a distinct voice. It may not be apparent on a playthrough of the game if you're not looking for it, yet one begins to associate them with that sound and your mind bridges the gap. The team at Shovel Knight fully utilized its electronic range in doing so. Here are some clips to show the different places. All the sounds in Shovel Knight feel very knightly. That may seem like a vague term, but they're able to capture that still. There's not really a definition for knightly, but what I feel it means is something that's valiant, regal, and grand. A charismatic, courageous, and elaborate inclination with 2 times the amount of passion for each ounce of bravery. A purveyor of truth and honor on the wings of determination, strength, and daring. For a group of music to be able to draw on such an interpretable term and capture a mood that's a very specific feeling, it really backs up the rest of the game. There's a lot more than it seems reverberating in the Shovel Knight soundscape, not simple pieces. The music feels like it's a lot going on. So who is behind this delighting, transportive score? Much of the music was written by renowned video game sound designer Jake Kaufman, who you might know from much beloved soundtracks like Shantae the Half-Genie Hero, Double Dragon Neon, and Crypto the Necrodancer. The involvement of this virtuoso artist is an indication of the forethought and dedication that emanates from the recordings. It seems that the producers of Shovel Knight knew that the soundtrack was going to be good, so maybe that's why they put so much emphasis on it both in and out of the game. Take for instance the epimonious character of the Bard, whom you come across in the town. He tells you that if you bring him music sheets, which can be found at the levels, he will play you these different songs from the soundtrack. By collecting these music sheets, Shovel Knight gives the soundtrack an in-game presence, and further bestows upon it the attribute of a rare and valuable item to find. It gives the player another way to interact with the music, and it shows it off to its fullest. The developers of Shovel Knight also made the official soundtrack for the game available as a digital download and on both CD and vinyl. Not every title publishes its music as a standalone like this, so it's a pretty big deal. Yacht Club's infectious pride and joy for this game is shown in how they wanted to place an importance on giving the music the great stage it warrants. Its ongoing inclusion is a testament to the love put into crafting it and the desire to share it, much to fans' excitement. Making the sounds of the game with its unique aesthetic is a choice that presents creative challenges and untold possibilities. Sort of like a Vocaloid or a synthesized composition of music, they aim to make something generated feel real. A drum plays on the effect of your heartbeat, and if you hear a 1, 2, 3, 4 of a drum, you can kind of connect with it on an intuitive level. Using these electronic sounds, they achieve parody of normal music. It not only replicates more traditionally created instruments, but also allows it to be relatable on a fundamental level. The heroic journey of Shovel Knight is one both of action and adventure, but also a symphonic stroll through electronic ecstasy.